Hi, everyone. I'm First Alert meteorologist Sean McLaughlin, and welcome to Sonoran Sky, the podcast dedicated to everything weather and beyond in our great state of Arizona, here at Arizona's Family in our First Alert Forecast Center. Boy, we have got a really exciting topic. If you are a newcomer to the Valley or if you have been here all your life, you know what an impact the WM Phoenix Open makes on not only the golf world as the largest attended spectator sport on the PGA Tour, but what an impact it has been making over the last decade plus in the sustainability world. It is the world's largest sporting event that has zero waste. It's a zero waste event. And to kind of walk us through about how that has been accomplished over the years and what may be new to the returning people that have been to the tournament for years, and what you should look out for if you are a newcomer, if you're heading out to the TPC out there in Scottsdale for tournament week. So welcoming into Sonoran Sky is David Brannon. He's the area vice president for the WM Corporation for the Four Corners area. David, I've known you for a long time. It's good to have you on Sonoran Sky.
Yeah, thank you. Really glad to be here and to talk about what is definitely the flagship for our company, WM, the WM Phoenix Open, Greenest show on grass.
Yeah, so you're the Four Corners area VP for WM. Just explain a little bit what your job title is all about. And sounds like you got to do a lot of traveling over some great country, right?
Yeah. So I'm blessed to have the Four Corners. That's Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, just some great states with some great weather. They offer almost everything that you want, but my job is really to run all aspects of the business. So our company divides its enterprise into 16 areas. I run one of those 16. So
got it.
It's kind of like a mini company inside of a company. So finance, accounting, human resources, operations, revenue management, all those things I'm responsible for. And I have a team that works for me that runs all those different disciplines. And since we are in Arizona, we are the host area for the WM Phoenix Open. So I have that honor and privilege to have that in Phoenix, which is where our area office is.
And talk about turning the corner. When WM came on board for their title sponsorship, we are now entering the 17th year. But David, it's now been 13 years in a row that it's now the largest certified zero waste sporting event in the entire world. But I have to admit, it's probably taken a lot of hard work on your team members' behalf. How did we get there? How did we get to a zero waste event in the first place? And how did we get to be the world's largest zero waste sporting event?
Well, I can tell you, we get that question a lot of times, and I'll tell you the first answer I always give is that you have to find the right partners. And the Thunderbird organization is just an outstanding, they're the hosts of the WM Phoenix Open.
Correct.
Just a great partner to have that we realize what they want to do through community donations and community impact. And they understand where we want to be with lessening the burden on the environment. And we do have a major impact through the WM Phoenix Open. And I think we'll get into some numbers of how what that impact is, but it's a progression. It's not something that you just snap your fingers and all of a sudden you're there. You know, specifically when you think about the numbers and the amount of people over that 1 week stretch at the tournament, it simply started with, hey, can we start to recycle all of the cans out here? And, you know, that was a decade ago. And then it turned into, well, hey, can we compost? And, you know, you can kind of see the progression there. But, you know, we have a continuous mindset at WM, and that's what we use to go from, hey, let's recycle some aluminum to let's have alternate materials be put to their next best use.
Wow. And when folks go out there for the first time or if they're returning patrons, I mean, it is a massive setup out there at the TPC. But some of the signage and some of the materials that you see along the tents, along the fence lines, they've been used over and over and over again. I mean, that's kind of how you've been making these progressions, right? You started with, okay, let's recycle all the beer cans or all the water bottles, but now it's what people see. I mean, everywhere they look, you've had an impact.
Yeah, so something as simple as having our material collection, which someone might call a waste bin. we've got over 150 of those that are reused every year. And then something as simple as plastic water bottles. Well, we now have refill stations on course where you can bring your empty water bottle in and refill it and not have to worry about that plastic bottle going into the rotation in the recycling stream. So just those little tweaks, everything that we do, you start thinking about, it takes a lot of ice to make sure that all of those drinks that everybody wants out there are nice and cool.
You're saying it's
We
a
all
good
know
time. You're saying it's
Yeah,
the tournament's a good time.
Yeah. What happens to ice when it sits out in the open air too long? Well, it melts. What do you do with all that water? So we find solutions like that of how do you reduce, how to reuse, and it's not rocket science, but it really works. There's some basic concepts there that we keep in play to make sure that we continue to be that largest certified zero waste event in the world.
So when people walk around, yes, they see those waste receptacles where you can put it into compost. You can either recycle it or put it. What are the three different areas that? What are those waste receptacles? You can kind of separate some of those refuse. So maybe walk people through that.
Yeah, and those bins alone have had an evolution to help people understand where to put things, right? Because it can be a little confusing. Is this compost? Is it recycling? So, for example, a round hole in the top of a receptacle, most people are going to associate, oh, my bottle or can goes into the round hole. And then by process of elimination, plates, napkins, utensils, those are going to go into the compost, which has a different sized and shaped enter into the receptacle. So small things like that. But then we also have signage. Any one of the 4,800 bins that we have out there are going to have bottles, cans, cups, and then they're going to have napkins, plates, utensils to help you figure it out, to make sure you get it into the right place, because that's what we depend on from the fans. Is we call it, that's the frontline sort. The fans are out there helping us, WM, create this zero waste event by getting it into the right receptacle the first time, and then we take it to our sorting facilities and do the fine tuning.
I like that frontline sort. That frontline. Say that again. I want to get that right.
Yeah, so they're our front line to they're the first stage of the sorting process.
Yeah, the frontline sort. The frontline sort. There we go. But people, when they're off to the bird's nest, the sun goes down, they're listening to some great music. And again, this is the state's largest fundraiser, once again, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But once people kind of go off property, that's when your crew really kind of jumps into action. And it takes an enormous team effort to physically move this recycled materials off property every night, right?
Well, I'll give you the first number. 927 tons of material from the 2025 tournament diverted away from landfills, right? Wow. And it's everything that you just talked about. So we call it as a 7-day period because we're there from Monday, the first day of the pro-am and the practice round for the pros, all the way through that next Sunday. It's literally a 24-hour operation for WM to make sure that each morning when the fans come into the beautiful TPC Scottsdale, it's what they would expect to see and what I think they've become accustomed to see when they get on the grounds there. And that's a beautiful course that's ready to have a great time by the hundreds upon thousands of fans that are going to be there each day. So it's a big undertaking. And we actually fly in more than 100 managers across our country to come in and help manage that process, because on our peak day, we have about 650 contingent workers or temporary workers that help us move that material and really keep it flowing. That way it doesn't end up building at a certain spot. That's what we're trying to avoid. We got to keep that material flowing, and it takes a lot of horsepower to do that.
And a lot of fans probably walk right by, but you try to help out your team members by having even some compactors right there on site, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So, a little known fact, if you're not in the refuse or environmental services industry, those compactors give you a 7-to-1 compaction ratio.
Wow.
So think of it this way. We can have one compactor that's decently sizable, probably about the size of a large pickup truck, or you could have 7 of those sitting there. So it's a useful tool for us to make sure that we're being efficient with space and efficient with time. And it's no doubt a game changer for us there. I believe we have 29 compactors out there that help us from that perspective.
And then you've even thought about the transportation of all of this stuff. Like you bring in not diesel or gas, but you bring in CNG vehicles, correct?
Yes. So I believe it is 90% of our collection vehicles that go on course are CNG, which is a much cleaner burning fuel than diesel, of course. But yeah, we think of every aspect there to make sure, again, that the whole goal that we're trying to hit, again, is the reduction of impact to the environment.
All right, so we've mentioned a lot of the recyclable materials that people see or people touch, whether it's a beer can or soda or your recycled bottle of water, or if you bring your water bottle out, that's a really good tip for those first timers. You can bring an empty water bottle out and you can fill it around the course. Now let's talk about, okay, I've had a couple of beers. Oh, I'm going to go visit the porta potty. You've even touched those in a unique way as well.
Yeah, so earlier we talked about all that melted ice. We capture that water and we reuse it. So of I think we have a couple thousand, I think it's 2,600 portalets, portable restrooms out there.
Correct.
And each one of them requires a specific amount of water to basically activate the solution we use to help it smell better in the portable restroom. So we were thinking one day, well, why use fresh water when we have all this reused melted ice that turns into water, right?
Right.
Why not use that in a better way than just to put a little bit extra water on the grass at the TPC? So for several years at this point, and just hundreds of thousands of gallons, we've been reusing that water and putting it back into the portalet. So underneath the big structures that you see, we have these sinks where all the bartenders can pour that melted ice, that water, into a tank. It flows down to the bottom. We have these 250-gallon holding tanks that at night we pump it into our trucks, and then we go around the course and we clean out the portalets and we fill it with the solution and the water. So it's a pretty cool system. Again, very simple, very basic, but so impactful.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it on the 3rd floor of the 16th hole on the 3rd floor suites. You go up to a bar, you look behind the bar, the bartender's got a sink there, but that sink's drain is connected to what?
Well, yeah. So, you're 3 stories up. I know you've seen those before. There's a hose that goes down. What do you think the top structure is? Maybe 40 feet?
It's got to be 30. I would say between 45 to 60 feet tall.
Well, there you go. There's 60 foot of hose that goes down into that big 250-gallon holding tank, and I believe we have 7 of those that are around 16 alone that just sit at those different spots on different levels. And since we've been doing this since 2011, over 114,000 gallons have been saved in the way of reusing that for a needed purpose inside our portable restrooms.
And then people are hungry, and they've got great food in all the different venues. But that's also recycled. You've even touched the consumable food and food that is left over.
Well, not only that. So you think about the different wine bottles and liquor bottles that are used there.
A lot of wine, a lot of liquor.
A lot of wine. So over 12,000 pounds of those type of materials have been donated from glassware to Refresh Glass. I don't know if you've seen that they've sold those in the merch tent.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, they turn them into glasses and different pitchers and things like that. But just a great utilization of something that typically, yes, glass will be recycled, but why not reuse it in a different form? But on that note of food, yes. So we have partnered with Waste Not, which is a local organization that with that leftover food, well, you can do one of two things. You can put it in the compost and it'll be put to use, or maybe we can help impact the hunger issues that we do have in the Phoenix area by donating it to Waste Not and having them do the good things they do with it.
And that's such a great organization. We have highlighted them before. And even if that food doesn't go to Waste Not, oh my gosh, the Worm Farm. You are the worm's favorite people in America. Tell us that you even donate to the Worm Farm.
Yeah, so it's a funny process that they do there. So we'll take some of it is truly it's the used compostable items, food waste specifically, that
Correct.
they use out there that basically becomes feed for the chickens, and then from the chickens you get eggs. But it's a really cool process. I think you guys, haven't you done a story on it
Yes.
before?
Yes.
So just an amazing process, and just another partnership that we have, that again, just the unique creative solutions that we try to come up with, again, all in the name of reducing the impact to the environment.
And then I gotta shout out whoever came up on your team, the compostable silverware or the
Yep.
utensils.
Yep.
It's not plastic. They're
Well, you
they're
can
they're
tell. I
they're
mean,
corn. They're corn based, right?
yes, correct. So, you have to find something in that composting process. A lot of things can compost, but the time it takes to do that can be critical to having it be a viable product. So moving to that corn-based actually helped reduce that time for it to break down and actually be a viable, usable, compostable material, again, within a reasonable amount of time, was big game changer. And all the vendors that are out there, we really have to take our hats off to them, because when they come, they agree to only bring in those types of products that are
Right.
compostable, can be reused, can be recycled. So it's not just a WM thing. It is a very large team effort out there, again, with the Thunderbirds, with all the vendors that make everything happen out there. Again, finding the right partners and that progression over the last 17 years, here we are today talking about the great things that we do.
And again, the world's largest zero waste sporting event.
Yes.
That's got to be something that when you go to conferences and conventions, not only around the country but around the world, because no matter where you live in the world, humans, create waste and refuse. That's got to be an impressive thing to tell people.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, especially if someone has seen it on TV or they've actually been there, to start to think about, just imagine. I mean, you're sitting in a studio there. How many times would 971 tons of material fill up the studio we're in right now? I
Wow.
can tell you quite a few times, right? When you just start thinking about the scope and the mass of what that is, and to divert those materials away from a landfill and again put it to its next best use on that large of a scale, I'm super proud of it, right? That's
Right.
why I want to sit here and talk to you. I'm very proud of what we accomplish, and we hope it just really showcases, not only what you can do within your business, but maybe you can take some of these best practices into your personal life and your home as well.
Yeah, it's really is a game changer. And last but not least, of course, water is our most precious resource. Here, living in Arizona, living in a desert environment, and you've purchased a lot of WRCs over the years. In fact, 31.3 million gallons of water in 2024. Just explain what that is and how WM has committed to really conservation efforts, especially right here in our state, not outside of the state of Arizona, but right here, Verde Valley, that impacts our watershed.
Yeah, so when you think about, we have something called the WM Phoenix Open Working for Tomorrow Fund, and one of the primary objectives of that fund are those water restoration projects across Arizona. And when you think about, I mean, essentially we live in a desert, right? And we have our reservoirs, but our population is growing and our need is growing. So anything that we can do to conserve that water and put it back into the system, I think it puts us in a far better place than we are right now. And then even the TPC Scottsdale, with what they do with the water restoration and water conservation on course, again, just a big team effort. Now we're bringing in, we've got WM, we've got the Thunderbirds, and now we've got the TPC Scottsdale, all working together to make sure that we're moving forward. And again, I think this is the fourth time I said it, reducing the impact on the environment.
Yeah. So, David, I think we've done a really good job here painting a picture for our brand new residents that have never been to this golf tournament. It is unlike anything you've ever seen in your life. It's the largest attended event on the PGA Tour. And of course, it's the world's largest sporting event that is zero waste. And I think you're going to have a great time. David, last question Anything new this year that you want people to at least notice or be aware of or maybe learn from this 91st edition of the WM Phoenix Open that's coming up?
Well, I'll tell you this. Last year, the Thunderbirds donated a record-breaking $18.1 million to local charities. So that's something I want people to know. Whether you've been out there for many years or it's your first time, you're helping impact local communities, people that are less fortunate, that need that help. So when you step on those grounds, those dollars you spend, they support a very good cause. And then on the other side of that, everything that we just talked about, from a sustainability uplift, recycling, composting, reusing, again, when you step onto those grounds, you're helping reduce that burden as well. So we just appreciate everybody coming out, and we are happy to have the partnerships we do with the Thunderbirds, the TPC Scottsdale, and I'm just hoping for a great 2026 event and looking forward to seeing you out there. Are you back out there on Wednesday this year?
I'll be back out there on the 16th hole, waiting to see your tee shot, or at least waiting to see your boss's tee shot.
Yeah, well, hey, it's me this year, and I'm hoping that I can get a good one off and hit the green this year.
I'll have a great intro ready and waiting for you on Wednesday for the Nexus Pro-Am. David Brannon, don't forget to tell people wear green on Saturday.
Yeah, so hey, every fan, caddy, or player that wears green on Saturday, our partners at Thunderbirds donate $1 on their behalf, and all of those proceeds go into that WM Phoenix Open Working for Tomorrow fund. Again, that's aimed at impacting those sustainability elements all throughout Arizona. So green on Saturday, February 7th. Plus, it looks great on everybody too, and it's our brand colors. So
let's
get that green.
All right, David Brannon, thank you so much. Area VP for the Four Corners for the WM Corporation. It is time for the 91st edition of the WM Phoenix Open. So if you're listening before the tournament, during tournament week, or even after tournament week, we hope the Sonoran Sky podcast that we just presented for you today, hopefully it taught you something new about that amazing golf tournament right here in the heart of the Valley of the Sun. I'm First Alert meteorologist C. McLaughlin, and you are listening to Sonoran Sky, a First Alert podcast produced by Arizona's family.